Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and busts. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, more details coming out of Iran. There are reports that thousands upon thousands of people are being executed, those who are protesting peacefully against the regime. And there are reports that there may be public hangings tomorrow in Iran. President Trump just a little bit ago saying if that were to happen, something major will happen to Iran, that they will feel a chilling effect from the United States and others. So what is President Trump watching for? We will keep you posted. And obviously, the situation is getting more and more dire there in Iran. Also, President Trump signaling that in Minnesota, something major is going to be happening. The president saying that there will be something dramatic, something powerful coming to Minnesota. It could be tied to ICE. It could be tied to the Somali scam. There's a lot of problems happening in Minnesota right now. Those anti-ICE protests are absolutely getting out of hand. So there looks like some big news is going to be coming tomorrow from there. President Trump keeping everybody busy. Welcome to the Rita Cosby Show. And tonight, Democrats really declaring war on ICE. It's incredible to see some of the comments that have come in just the last few hours. The Democrats, especially the members of the so-called squad, are out there and we're doing a press conference and essentially saying that it's time now to actually hold up the appropriations for the U.S. government. In other words, create another government shutdown because they don't want to fund any part of ICE, of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. You heard it right. They have truly lost their mind. They truly believe, or at least they think it's politically expedient to say that ICE should not exist, that there shouldn't be any federal funding of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. I guess they think it should be like a scene out of Mad Max where everybody just roams wild in the world. And I guess murderers and rapists and everybody else, we should feel sorry for them. And yet, if you look at this messaging from the Democrats, it's all vilifying ICE, vilifying federal law enforcement. And I'll tell you guys tonight, I think we're on a really dangerous path. This to me is deeply, deeply concerning and deeply dangerous, because if you have individuals out there that are saying this horrible vitriol, like ICE is out there murdering people, that's how they're perceiving what happened there in Minneapolis. Or ICE can't be in our state. If they show up in our state, they're going to be arrested. This is really spurring on a lot of people to do some very bad things to federal law enforcement. And you could see that there is going to be a showdown of some sort with Democratic officials and the Trump administration, because they could not be further apart, especially when it comes to dealing with illegal criminal migrants. And President Trump just a few hours ago also saying that he will block federal funds starting on February 1st to sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. That's a very big matter. Of course, we already know that cities and states, they're going to start suing. They're going to find some sympathetic judge in Portland or in California or wherever. But it is going to be a showdown royale because the Trump administration says they're not going anywhere. They're on the right side and they're there protecting the community. And yet, if you even listen in New York today at the State of the State, Governor Kathy Hochul delivered, a lot of it was against ICE. And that's where she got the biggest cheers. I was watching her State of the State address. And when it came time to her talking about, oh, she hates ICE and ICE shouldn't come there and they're going to help fund people who've been abused by ICE as opposed to heralding ICE, she was vilifying ICE too. And when she did it, the crowd in New York City, they seemed to like it. And guess who was in the crowd? Zohran Mamdani. Well, here is Ilhan Omar today. She did a press conference with some other members of the so-called squad, and this is what she had to say about federal law enforcement officers and what she says they do to American streets.
It feels like we have an occupying force that has come into our city. It is completely dangerous. It feels like we do not have a proper understanding of what the strategy is, what they're supposed to be doing when it comes to the federal law enforcement that has come into our community. And so it is one of those cases where it can result into a more dangerous situation. And I agree with our Attorney General Keith Ellison in saying we would like for you all to leave and that we are taking action to require you to leave because it doesn't make any sense why you are in our city outside of the PR strategy that the White House has been conducting in Minnesota.
That's an incredible statement that ICE is there for the PR as opposed to keeping the community safe. They are so intent on vilifying and disparaging ICE that they can't even thank law enforcement. They have really crossed the line of lunacy. And here is Congresswoman Kelly Morrison with her thoughts about ICE.
And we are seeing indiscriminate takings of people by this masked secret police that is ICE. They are wanting to create this secret police force that has no accountability and no transparency. And I think the American public needs to ask itself, is this the country that we want to live in? We are a country of laws, and it's what has distinguished us from the rest of the world. And I think most Americans want to live in a country that follows the rule of law and the Constitution.
That's amazing. The masked secret police, like it's a bunch of renegade force members that are coming in and acting unilaterally on their own, like a group of revolutionaries coming in and deciding to just swoop people off the streets for no reason. I mean, this is an incredible moment. And unfortunately, this is an election year, guys. We're in 2026, and it is all politics all the time. And they're seeing that many people in their constituencies, I guess, support what they're saying. At least the people that were listening to Kathy Hochul earlier, they were clapping like a bunch of lemmings. And here is Congressman Maxwell Frost, Democrat of Florida, and he was bragging about how they're going to push to withhold appropriations funding because they don't want to send money to the Department of Homeland Security, i.e. ICE. Listen to this.
I'm very proud of the Congressional Progressive Caucus for taking this principled stance, because the one thing that we can do that no one else in the communities that we represent can do is walk onto that House floor and cast the ballot and cast the vote. And what we vote for and what we vote against is a true reflection of not just our character, but also our priorities and what we believe needs to happen in this moment. And as we see these videos and these accounts, as we see ICE in our community terrorizing our people, kidnapping Americans, human trafficking people across the entire world, our position is simple. We will not fund that. We say no to funding for any DHS appropriations bill.
That's really jaw-dropping to hear him say that ICE is involved in human trafficking, as opposed to them going after the human traffickers, as opposed to him recognizing that law enforcement, they're getting doxxed, their families are getting doxxed, they're going through extraordinary safety and security measures, and they want them demasked. They want them to stop human trafficking, as opposed to stopping the human traffickers. They're not giving them any recognition for some of the really bad folks that they have rounded up, even just in the last week alone. Some of the people that they've rounded up would make your jaw drop. And anybody with their right mind would say, boy, aren't we lucky to have men and women out there who want to do this to protect all of us? No, they won't look at it that way. They look at it as it is a renegade force that is suddenly just snatching people off the streets indiscriminately and involved in human trafficking. This is reckless, it's dangerous, and boy, is it incendiary. And then today, as I mentioned, Governor Kathy Hochul in New York at her State of the State address, she's got an election year because she's going to have a very hardcore primary from the left. Antonio Delgado, the lieutenant governor, is going to be primarying her. So that's happening in June. She's got a few months to go, but she's going to keep going left to win the primary. And then she's also trying to appease Zoran Mondani, who I mentioned was in the audience clapping like a lemming anytime she blasted ICE or blasted President Trump. And here is what she had to say today, because she spent a lot of her State of the State address barely talking about crime, barely talking about a lot of things, but she found time to blast ICE and also said that New York will not cooperate with federal agents.
But people of all political beliefs are saying the same thing. What we've seen lately has gone too far, and enough is enough. So, New York will not allow the use of state resources to assist in federal immigration raids on people who have not committed serious crimes.
So, if somebody committed murder or rape or child sex crimes, is that considered a serious crime? I would say, yeah. Who decides what's a serious crime? A lot of people are being swooped up who are hanging around with a lot of bad actors. It's not necessarily like they're looking for the bad actors, but they seem to be pulling in a number of individuals who happen to be hanging around some pretty bad hombres and mujeres. And that's why they get pulled in and yanked in. And if they get pulled in and yanked in because they happen to be with those people, well, ICE is then putting them in custody and saying, hey, by the way, you broke the law too. But they make it sound like they're out there just indiscriminately pulling up people, and they are completely vilifying ICE, not just for this election year. This will have a lasting stain. And what they're hoping is maybe dissuading people from joining ICE. I think it's terrible. I think people that are in law enforcement are men and women. They should be heralded. And I think it's absolutely disgraceful what these individuals are doing. And I think it's sadly going to get a lot worse. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Sandra in New Jersey. Line 1. Go ahead, Sandra.
Wow, I was hoping you'd pick me, Rita. I just got home. I'm all fired up. I had a beautiful night. I hosted
great.
a beautiful event for Dr. Siegel. So
fantastic. We love Dr. Siegel. He's great.
I know. And you know what, Rita? I say they love my speeches. Now, if I wrote one for you, oh my God, it would be the best in the world because I know you. I listen to you every day. So someday, I can't wait till that day comes when you come to the club and let us all meet you, Rita. But that's not why I'm calling.
Thank you. You're so sweet, Sandra. Thank you.
You're welcome. I want to say I'm brokenhearted with what's going on in Iran. First of all, I looked it up and I see these young kids, kids in college, they step out of their dormitories to go protest, and then they get a shot in the head, and then their parents can't even retrieve the body because their parents are not allowed to take the body. I mean, one kid is a weightlifter, another is a model, another one is a law student. And when you see the amount of people that they're killing, it's scary. So I have a funny feeling that our troops are going to be there soon. I know that Trump said something about raising the tariff 25%, but I think we're going to need to take action even more than that because I don't care. This is something that has to stop.
And,
Rita,
I think something dramatic is going to happen, Sandra. I don't know about
Right,
U.S. boots on the ground, but
I think so.
But I think
so.
something dramatic is definitely going to happen, because President Trump even said on this report, which is horrible, like you just said, these stories of these young people that are courageous. And my heart breaks for them. And then there's a report that one of these leaders, who's one of the head dissidents, may be getting hanged tomorrow, that he's scheduled for execution. And they want to do it in a very public way. These people are ruthless. The regime, the mullahs.
Awful.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. I just can't stand it. Rita, I'm very upset over this.
I am too. And I'm also praying so much, Sandra, too, that that this is a moment, because you look at what happened. This happened under President Obama, too. Remember, they rose up. President Obama turned a blind eye. And then he also ended up sending pallets of cash in the middle of the night, euros, remember, which funded the Iranian war machine, because he was so desperate to get a nuclear deal. So obviously, President Trump is a whole different breed. He's already told Iran means business. And I think he's going to be watching very closely. And I think something dramatic is going to happen to Iran. He will not let this happen. And he is clearly supporting those freedom-loving people that we're talking about. Pray, Sandra, pray, pray, pray. I certainly am. 1-800-848-9222. And we'll continue, everybody, after the break.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And the number to call, 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Robert in Brooklyn, line 2. Robert, your thoughts tonight, my friend?
Yeah, thank you for taking my call. Now, let's always remember that during Biden's regime, which was like the third term of Obama, he invaded us with all these illegals to transform this country, to get people to vote Democrat, to crash the economics of the country by overloading the system, by facilitating jihadi Marxists like our current mayor. And some of the established Republicans have actually gone along with it there, because a lot of both of them, Democrats and Republicans, are both corrupt.
Well, hey, do me a favor, Robert. Hold on. We got to go to a hard break, if you don't mind. Hold on. We're going to go to a break because I want to see where you're going with this. You're right that there definitely was a master plan, especially by Democrats, for open borders.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Rita Cosby is on. The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment coming from Seaverville, Tennessee, where officers worked together to save the life in what officials describe as a group effort. Sergeant Dweese Milleron grabbed the man by the wrist as he attempted to jump off a bridge, and then he called for backup from other officers. Video of the incident shows the sergeant trying to get the man to come back over the railing. When the man goes to drop himself, every officer nearby rushes forward to help. Officers grabbed through the railing's wires and held onto the man's shirts and pants during the rescue. The sergeant said the incident serves as a reminder for people to seek the help for those in crisis. You need to reach out to somebody to get help for them. That's probably one of the biggest lessons to learn from all of this. The police department said the man is now getting the help that he needs. And wow, bravo to the great teamwork of that department saving that man's life. Well, law enforcement does so much every single day, and yet many Democrats will not acknowledge that. They are completely vilifying ICE, completely vilifying the Customs and Border Protection. And Pramila Jayapal, who is one of the members of the squad, said this about ICE today. It's an outrageous comment.
So I think we have to actually look at this and turn your question the other way and say, do you care about actual national security and public safety? Because what is happening right now is undermining the safety and security of all Americans across this country.
What a ridiculous comment that they're undermining security. And here's Senator Cory Booker from the great state of New Jersey.
Your colleague is calling on you and others to refuse to fund DHS unless those new rules are put in place for ICE and immigration enforcement. Do you agree?
Look, for me personally, I can't in good conscience support an agency that is so out of control.
I can't support an agency that is so out of control. So I guess Cory Booker is joining the chorus. And the appropriations for the government, it's supposed to be taking place in the next few weeks. There's a potential for another government shutdown. And are the Democrats willing to try to shut down the government because they want to block the Department of Homeland Security and Immigration and Customs Enforcement? What kind of planet are we on that they have no common sense? They want to block law and order. They want to block great federal agents who are out there trying to do their job. And you got to hear this. This one's a doozy. This is the Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner, Soros funded, just like Alvin Bragg and many others across the country. And this one, the Philly DA Larry Krasner, who never disappoints with his crazy rhetoric, he came out and he essentially said, ICE, if you come to our community, you better watch out. This is a shocking comment from somebody who's a prosecutor. Remember, the district attorneys, they're prosecutors, and yet he's trying to flip the script on ICE.
If any law enforcement agent, any ICE agent, is going to come to Philly to commit crimes, then you can get the F out of here. Because if you do that here, I will charge you with those crimes. You will be arrested. You will stand trial. You will be convicted, whether it's in state or federal court. It's my office prosecuting it. That's how the law works. And you will do your time because Donald Trump cannot pardon you for a state court conviction. Do you hear me? ICE agents, do you hear me, National Guard? Do you hear me, military? You're going to jail if you commit crimes in the city of Philadelphia. You will be accountable. The law applies to all of you. And I know that there are honest, decent, moral law enforcement officers out there by the bushel, including in ICE. This is not for you. This is for any one of your colleagues who thinks they are above the law.
Yes, we hear you, Larry Krasner. Yes, we do. That's amazing that he would actually threaten ICE and say, if you violate laws, trying to intimidate ICE, we should be going after these people. I'm telling you, it's crazy. It's a district attorney who is threatening ICE, law enforcement. That to me is shocking. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go back to Robert in Brooklyn on line 2. Go ahead, Robert.
Yes. Well, a few weeks ago, President Trump indicated there are not 20 million illegal invaders that came. There were 25 million that came. So apparently there's a little bit over 2 million that were deported. Mostly was self-deported. But at this rate, if at the end of President Trump's second term, you only get rid of, only 10 million are sent back to where they came from, that means 10 to 15 million remain. And I don't know who's going to take over after President Trump. So what they're doing is they invaded the country, and now they're trying to stall President Trump's ability to get these people out of here. And then they figure they could run out the clock, and then they could keep, who knows what's going to happen afterwards. And I just want to remind people, I heard Sarah Adams tweeted today that the U.S. government delivered $87 million in cash to the Taliban's political office in Doha, Qatar. This is disgraceful. $87 million to the Taliban? This is shameful. But President Trump, I support, you talked about a shutdown. I'm actually in favor of the shutdown.
Wait. So why are you in favor of the shutdown? Now, by the way, you threw out a lot of things there. I think, first off, we don't really know how many people came into the country. And that's why the number keeps changing even by President Trump, because there's so many gotaways. And remember, it was like a free-for-all under Biden. It was like the football fields kept coming, packed of people kept coming through. So I believe, to President Trump's point, it's probably a lot more than we know. The other thing is that you talked about the terrorist funds. That's a really big deal, too. Like, why are we still sending money that ends up anywhere near the Taliban? And that's a great point. That definitely needs to be looked into. Your other point is about, and I think it's a really important one, Robert. First of all, this is an election year for the midterms. So if the House doesn't stay in Republican hands, you can already see it. They're already out there. The Democrats saying they're planning to impeach Kristi Noem. They're planning to impeach Donald Trump. They're planning to impeach you name it. They're out there planning to impeach everybody left and right. It's going to be impeachment mania. There's no doubt about it. And in fact, Robert, hold on. While I'm on that thought, I want to play cut number 14. This is Congresswoman Robin Kelly. This is a Democrat of Illinois, and this is what she had to say.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to announce I will be impeaching Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Secretary Noem has violated the Constitution, and she needs to be held accountable for terrorizing our communities. Operation Midway Blitz has torn apart the Chicagoland area. President Trump declared war on Chicago, and then he brought violence and destruction to our city and our suburbs in the form of immigration enforcement. In my district, federal agents rappelled down from Black Hawk helicopters and burst into an apartment building in the South Shore area. They dragged U.S. citizens and non-citizens alike out of their beds in the middle of the night. They claimed the apartment was infiltrated by members of a Venezuelan gang. I don't understand this president's obsession with Venezuela, but they did not arrest a single member from that gang. I visited that apartment building and saw firsthand the destruction those agents left. Doors to people's homes or apartments were kicked down. Belongings, including little kids' toys, were strewn about in the hallway. That raid and so many others shook our community, not just immigrants, but everyone. Now Secretary Noem has brought her reign of terror to Minneapolis after she left Charlotte and Raleigh. We have all seen what happened. An ICE officer shot and killed Renee Nicole Good in cold blood.
Murdering Renee Good, who just, happened to be blocking the road, happened to be honking the horn, happened to appear to be trying to ram her car into the officer. I mean, it's incredible. And yet, you heard the beginning there, Robert, where she said, this is Representative Robin Kelly, Democrat of Illinois, state of J.B. Pritzker, where she said she will be impeaching Secretary Noem. So the minute they get control, if they are to get it, which historically, usually the Democrats, the opposite party gets it during a midterm election. If they get it, it's going to be gridlock central, Robert, gridlock central. And to your point, what you said, I think is a really great one. Who knows? We don't know who's going to be in the White House the next go round. It very well may be somebody like a J.D. Vance or a Marco Rubio who's going to keep the same policies as a Donald Trump. You know, obviously everybody's different, but certainly on the border, they'll keep the same policies. Or is it going to be another free-for-all Can you imagine if it's President AOC? That is a terrifying thought. But go ahead, Robert.
Well, no, Rita, I just have to mention, a few days ago there was a Mississippi synagogue, synagogue in Mississippi that was burned down.
Yep.
And it's very important to point this out because the anti-Semitism that you're getting, not just from the jihadi Marxists, like the Mamdani crowd, but also some of these right-wingers like Tucker. And I have to really hold J.D. Vance responsible. Apparently, he invited Tucker a few days ago for lunch into the White House. And now the Democrats, all of a sudden, they're pretending they're pro-Jewish, they're against Hamas. This is outrageous. But J.D. Vance is fueling this because he refuses to denounce anti-Semitism. He has Tucker in the White House. He has lunch with him. And then President Trump gets blamed for why Tucker's in the White House. This is J.D. Vance. I am very upset with J.D. Vance. Now, I just want to focus on this immigration situation that's going on. President Trump is doing a tremendous job. He closed up the border. Tremendous. He also, a lot of people, he got them out. But now another thing we have to consider is the Democrats are always on the offense. They bring in these illegal immigrants who they think are going to support, they're going to vote Democrat. Republicans, President Trump needs to get immigrants who are going to vote MAGA because whatever it is, however much Trump gets these people out, if he gets at the end of 4 years, he gets 10 million out, there's still 10 million here. You need to start getting people here who are going to be, traditional American values. I don't care if you have, these extremists from jihadi Marxists or extremists from people like Tucker Carlson. We want traditional American values. That's what we want. And
so hang on, Robert. Hold on, Robert, because you are bringing up a very good point. And the question, I guess, is how do you do that? I mean, obviously, you make, and listen, that's what makes this country great, is that we bring in immigrants, we vet them, and those who are here because they love this country and will contribute to this country, I'm all for giving them citizenship, especially if they don't have any criminal history. I'm all, as long as they go through it the right way, that's what makes this country incredibly great. And I'm a first generation American, so I know what I'm talking about. And both my parents love this country and appreciate it. And often people who come from tough places. My father was fleeing war in Poland. He was so grateful for the freedoms that America has and what it represents to the world. He got that every single day and instilled it in me and my family, so, and my mother too. I mean, my mother was a child of war too. My mother was in Denmark. And remembers the air raid sirens and all the other things that she grew up with as a very young child. So when you hear all of those things in your household, not only do they appreciate it, but they pass it on. So my question to you is, what can they do? Obviously, are you saying fast track vetting of folks who qualify to make them appreciate? I actually think it's a good idea, Robert.
Well, Rita, for example, just as an aside, when you have juries, you have lawyers who are expert in questionnaires to get juries who will be favorable. We need to have questionnaires. We need to select people. They have to be vetted, questioned. Do you support freedom of speech? Do you support freedom of religion? Or do you like jihadi organizations like Hamas? We have to vet these people. Do you like capitalism? These people have to be vetted, okay? It's very important that it's be done properly. We need to counter all those Democrat voters that were taken in. We need MAGA voters. I didn't say Republican voters. We need MAGA voters. And it's very important because the Republicans, the MAGA people, not Republicans, the MAGA people need to start going on offense. The fact that you had a synagogue burned down and it's gotten almost no attention. And this seems to come from a 19-year-old right-wing crazy nut job. I guess he was Christian. But it doesn't matter whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, anything. What matters is your values to support the Constitution, whether you're a decent person who wants to contribute, who wants to get along with people. That's what matters.
Yep. And by the way, I hear you. Hey, Robert, I hear you. I hear exactly what you're saying because obviously, that burning of the synagogue was absolutely atrocious, and you're right. And it look, the phrase MAGA. Obviously, the Democrats, anything that has to do with Trump is Trump derangement syndrome. But if you look at what MAGA means, it's Make America Great Again. And if we can bring people that want to make America great, that love American values, that appreciate making America the best it can be and doing the best they can to this country, I'm all for it. And I'm with you. And I think as long as they're very carefully vetted, like you said, maybe it's a turbocharged vetting of good ones. And also it sends a message that they are clearly out for removing bad ones. And maybe they'll expedite. Listen, the ones who have also self-deported, a lot of those people, remember Kristi Noem said when they get self-deported that they go to the front of the line on the comeback because they did on their own self-deport. They didn't have to get booted. They self-deported, and many of them may want to come back to this country. Maybe some of them are bad folks and they knew they had to get out of here. Maybe others are good folks and they just wanted to do the right thing. So maybe those people, first and foremost, should be fast-tracked. And if that message comes out, then maybe a lot more will get out of the country, and then you can vet them expeditiously to get back in. That would be the perfect scenario. So anyway, we'll see where it goes. But Robert, I think it's a huge issue. And I think a lot of this, first of all, you're right, getting the great people who make this country great and come from other countries and really appreciate America. I'm all for them getting here, getting vetted quickly. Definitely vetted. You can't have the open border deal, and maybe you inspire them to get out and really turbocharge them getting back in. There's got to be a way to do it, and it's an election year. It's important that good folks come in because, look, a lot of people that did it the right way, they don't like the ones that haven't done it the right way. They resent the ones that have done it illegally. So maybe there's a way to really inspire good folks to do the right thing, but turbocharge it so it's not a difficult process for them. I think it's great, Robert. I think it's a great point. 1-800-848-9222. We'll continue, everybody. More on The Rita Cosby Show right after the break.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. This is the Rita Cosby Show.
And it's an election year, and Democrats are vilifying ICE. You can tell that is first and foremost. You also heard what Robert was saying is no matter what, even if Trump does a spectacular job, there could be like 10 million people still left in this country illegally. That's a minimal. I mean, it could be a lot more. There's only been a little over 2 million, many of them self-deported. But how many more will self-deport? And how many more can ICE round up, even if they're at exponential numbers? So what's the solution? And in the meantime, they continue to vilify this officer. We're going to talk about how that officer who was involved in the stop of Renee Good, he's now getting death threats, and also his family. All for trying to protect all of us. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Christine in Connecticut on line 3. Go ahead, Christine. Your thoughts tonight.
Good evening, Rita. I am just so sick of these ICE protests. And this morning I came across a church sermon in Hartford, and the pastor actually called Renee Good a prophet. I mean, that just takes the cake of absurdity.
Did he say why he was calling her a prophet?
By alluding to her getting killed by ICE. You know, you're talking about people that are paid agitators. They're impeding law enforcement, and the people on the left are bowing down to these people as the biggest victims in the world. Enough is enough of this, Rita.
No, that's a great point. I mean, people have politicized it. Obviously, it's horrible what happened to her. But yet they're also making it sound like she was doing nothing wrong. And that doesn't look like that's clear right now.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.